Right now, if you're bored, you have infinite options. Scroll your phone, binge a show, text a friend. Boredom barely lasts 30 seconds before you've solved it without even thinking. Now imagine you're a hunter-gatherer 40,000 years ago. No phone, no books, no electricity. Just a cave, a fire, and hours of downtime after the hunting and gathering is done for the day. So what did ancient humans actually do with all that empty time? Turns out, boredom might be one of the most underrated forces in human history, because fighting it may have accidentally invented art, music, and games. Let's start with something surprising. Ancient hunter-gatherers may have had more free time than us, not less. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups, like the Juhuansi of the Kalahari, found that some spend as little as 15 to 20 hours a week actually gathering food. The rest of the time is genuinely free. This idea, sometimes called the original affluence hypothesis, suggests early humans weren't constantly scrambling to survive. They had real leisure time, and leisure time left unfilled turns into boredom fast. So what filled it? One answer is written on cave walls. In places like Lascaux in France and Sulawesi in Indonesia, ancient humans painted animals, handprints, and abstract patterns on rock walls tens of thousands of years ago. Some of that art clearly had ritual or storytelling purpose, but some of it looks a lot like doodling. Repeated dots, scratches, and patterns that don't obviously mean anything, the same way you might absent-mindedly sketch in the margins of a notebook during a boring meeting. Music tells a similar story. Archaeologists have found flutes carved from bird bone and mammoth ivory at a site called Hohle Fels in Germany, dating back roughly 40,000 years. Someone sat down, carefully drilled finger holes into a hollow bone, and tuned it well enough to play actual notes. That's not a survival tool. That's entertainment. Possibly the oldest musical instrument we've ever found, built by someone who apparently had the time and the itch to make one. Then there's gambling. Long before playing cards or dice as we know them, ancient people used astragali, the small ankle bones of sheep and goats, as makeshift dice. Archaeological sites across the ancient Near East and Mediterranean are scattered with these bones, often worn smooth from repeated handling, suggesting they were tossed, tracked, and probably bet on over and over again. Boredom, plus a handful of bones, turned into one of the oldest games in human history. Board games show up early, too. The royal game of found in a set of graves in Iraq dating back about 4,500 years, is a race-style board game with dice and playing pieces, one of the oldest fully reconstructed games we have. And in Egypt, the game Senet appears in tomb paintings and burial goods, almost as far back, suggesting it was popular enough to be buried with the dead for the afterlife. People weren't just surviving. They were killing time competitively with rules and strategy. Storytelling probably filled in the rest. Around a fire at night, with no artificial light drawing people away to separate activities. Oral tradition, myths, jokes, exaggerated hunting stories likely became the default entertainment. Anthropological studies of modern hunter-gatherer campfire conversations show something interesting. Daytime talk tends to be about practical matters, complaints, and gossip, but nighttime talk shifts heavily toward stories, and those stories tend to be the ones that get remembered, retold, and passed down. Basically, night was TV time, and the good stories were the reruns everyone wanted to watch again. Here's the honest debate, though. How much of this was really about boredom versus something more essential? Bonding, teaching, or ritual? Storytelling around a fire isn't just entertainment. It transmits survival knowledge, strengthens group bonds, and passes down cultural memory. Cave art might not be doodling at all. Some researchers argue it held deep ritual or spiritual significance tied to hunting magic or shamanic practice. Even games like the royal game of may have had ritual gambling significance tied to fate or the afterlife, not simple recreation. But the two explanations aren't necessarily in conflict. Practical or spiritual purpose and boredom relief could easily have coexisted in the same bone flute, the same painted wall, the same tossed dice. A ritual can still be fun. A teaching story can still pass the time. Necessity and boredom relief were probably tangled together the same way they are today. Nobody scrolls their phone purely out of survival instinct, but plenty of scrolling still ends up teaching us something or connecting us to other people. So how did ancient humans fight boredom? They carved flutes out of bone and taught themselves to play music. They painted walls with images that might have been sacred or might have just been something to do with their hands. They gambled with sheep bones long before dice existed. They built board games precise enough to bury with their dead. and around the fire each night, they told stories good enough to survive tens of thousands of years, one retelling at a time. Boredom, it turns out, might be one of the oldest human experiences there is, and fighting it might be one of the oldest human talents too. Every time you doodle in a meeting, hum a tune you can't place, or bet a friend $5 on something dumb, you're doing something people have been doing since long before written history existed. If this video helped kill 5 minutes of your own boredom, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.